Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the feel-good atmosphere continues all around Celtic Football Club, and it continues on the Bhoycie Bus as the fallout from last weekend still rages on. But yes, tonight it is the T.N.F. / Judgement Day, because as you can see, folks, it's just a two-man panel tonight, and as Mark usually does, Judgement Day, which is questions just directed at him, and he is on tonight. Why not? Because we didn't do Judgement Day this week. So, we're going to have a little special live Judgement Day edition / TNF. So, Mark, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing very well, mate. Unexpected win on Sunday, beating that mob in Snake Mountain. And it's always good to see Anthony Ralston in that intro video, mate. That always gives me a wee smile going into the shows. I've seen that guy celebrate. I don't know if you've seen the bit on the Celtic Access All Areas video. You see him coming off the park and booing. He just goes, "I love it." And you know he's talking about the fans booing, and that's just like putting me and you out there. You know what I mean? And I love that as well. And but anyway, I'm buzzing. I've not been on the show since last Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure what day it was. So don't worry. I've not been sacked or passed on to some other shoddy podcast. I'm here as long as Brendan Rodgers and Danny McGrath's here.
as long as Brendan's here, you're here, Mark.
Yep.
But of course, before we go any further, folks, obviously do all that good stuff. It helps us out massively. Help out old algorithm CSC. So obviously hit that like button, gets traction to the bus going live here on YouTube, puts us in some more people's recommended videos, suggestions. Obviously, subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Then what's stopping you? Hit the subscribe button. And of course, remember to hit that bell notification. You'll be reminded every time that the show goes live. Of course, get involved in our comments tonight. We're going to be relying heavily on that because that is literally the format of the T.N.F. / Judgement Day. It's all about questions directed at this man to my side here. So, we're asking a few moments to get those questions in. And of course, after the show as well, any feedback, leaving comments afterwards always helps as well because YouTube does love an active channel. And of course, you can share the link of the Bhoycie Bus far and wide on whatever social media platform happens to be your poison, and poison is definitely the word for social media at times, without a doubt. And what else? You of course head over to piesports.com and remind them that the bus sent you. Use the code BUS1888 and get yourself a tasty 12.5% off your order. With all that said and done, we can get into it now, of course, tonight, because we're a live episode tonight, and to make it a bit easier on me, because obviously I'm having to filter through the comments, and we want to try and get as many questions as we can to the judge. So I'm going to put an instruction up on the screen. So guys, if you have a question for Mark tonight, for Judge Cairney, can I ask you start your comment with #TNF, and then I will see it, and then I will bookmark it and keep them all stored, and I can batter through them. So yes, if you could put #TNF at the start of any questions for the judge, that would help me massively. I would appreciate it. So thank you, folks. But while I'm waiting on some comments coming in, Mark, as you said, you've not been on since last Thursday, so you've not really had a chance. I think you're one of the only members of the team that's not had a chance to have a say about Sunday. Imagine that one put a smile on your face, mate.
Well, I mean, don't forget, I was on a self-imposed Celtic shop embargo. I wasn't going to go near them. It took me 3 minutes to run to the Celtic Superstore and spend a fortune, and this shows you how highly I rate my own standards, you know what I mean, mate? Having the care at full time. And I must admit, sometimes you get to these games and you're positive or you're nervous, and you win the match and you're jubilant. Sometimes there's a wee teensy bit more satisfaction when you've got no hope at all. And I watched it in one of the lounges at Celtic Park, and when I got the team sheet on my phone, I thought I'd read it wrong. I thought that vodka isn't that strong, you know what I mean? And I couldn't believe it. And then, but by God, Liam Scales stood up. All right, let's get one thing clear. There was mistakes in the team. Liam Scales caused a goal within the first 30 seconds, but the goal was offside. He also caused a mistake in the second half towards the end. But you know something, if they're expecting that guy to go to Ibrox with no away fans and under pressure all the times and don't make mistakes, then that's a bit too much to expect of that guy. I thought out of all the players, him and Cal McGregor stood up. Cal McGregor, for me, is somebody who I rightly hold to a higher standard than the rest of the players. But I think if they're going to be Billy Big Balls when it's 5-0, I want you to be the man when it's 1-0 behind or chasing a winner. And he stood up and he showed the Celtic fans why we were all praising him the last couple of seasons, and he's turned into the captain that we all know he can be. But he did deserve a lot of criticism the last wee while, Phil, and I gave him it. My God, he shut me up, especially on Sunday there. And do you know what? it's no unexpected to a Celtic captain to go to these tough places and show why they're the captain, why they're earning that bracket above the rest of the players. And doesn't mean that the guy doesn't deserve praise for it, because I thought the guy was brilliant. Also thought, say it quietly, I also thought again Joe Hart was very assured. He seemed to have got a bit more assured. All the chatter has been about, all the part has been about replacing him, and maybe it's psychological, maybe it's maybe it's Brendan Rodgers. We all know he makes anybody a good player, and I think Joe Hart will have a lot of respect for a guy like Brendan Rodgers speaking. And I think as a goalkeeper, I think Celtic's their coaches, and that's Stevie Woods. I think they're some of the best in the UK. I think he's not back jobs or Britain, and he'll thrive as long as Celtic want him there. I'm sure he'll do a level of job, but I think we should look to replace him before the season's out. But I still think the problems that were at Celtic's door Friday night, Phil, when you and David did your podcast,
Thai special, yes.
Yeah. Dude, it was a long day for you. I feel sorry for you doing that. That's a bit pointless, but I think the problems were still there at 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon, Phil. And I think we would be a bit neglectful with the truth, not to keep that in the back of your mind. But one thing that when the dust settles and the transfer window was uninspiring, right? But see, the thing is, and this is a fact of the matter, none of us actually know how good or bad it was, because we've not saw anybody. We saw Bielka, and the rest of them we haven't saw Palmer, we haven't saw Tilio, Bernardo. God, I forgot the rest of their names. It's a mixture of players that have come in that haven't been up to the standard yet, and also a mixture of players being brought in too late, or in Philip's case, he was brought in unfit. And you know, that's on Celtic, that is on Rodgers as such, all that. But before the kick-off on Sunday afternoon, the pressure was, and I said it, window's closed now, it's gloves are off, it's the team you've accepted, Brendan, this is your baby now. Criticism starts to come down the stairs now and land at your door rather than the director's box. And do you know what? He does what Brendan Rodgers does, and he showed up at Ibrox Park, and for the 11th time out of 14 games, we walked away smiling. And you know something? I said before, sometimes Celtic just do a number on somebody. It doesn't mean that they were the best team, or even though they were, I felt they just, when you get a manager like Brendan Rodgers, Phil, you get a guy who's so astute in his thinking. He's crossing distance with all this stuff before, you know what I mean? And he knows what to do, Phil, and his in-game management is phenomenal. I think a lot of the stuff we've seen up to this point has been pretty poor, but maybe it's been resources in the squad rather than his thinking, and it's maybe took that result to kind of galvanise some of the players who were looking a wee bit jaded at this new style of play. And this could be the catalyst to bring this Celtic team on to the level I think we should begin to get to at this stage of the season.
It's a fair summary, mate. It's I say the performance itself. I was doing the Sunday Blether beforehand, and obviously I saw that lineup, and it was like, oh, Jesus! But who am I to doubt Brendan Rodgers? Which is ironic, because I'm one of the biggest Brendan Rodgers fanboys on this channel. I've always championed it, but yeah, I should have been so naive. Because coming away from it, I said it on Tuesday night when I was doing the Tuesday ticket with the boys, where I was like, a couple of smarter decisions in the final third, and we could have won more than 1-0 there. Definitely, we definitely could have came away with a 3 or a 4-0, and God help Michael Beale if that had happened. But Mark, I've got some questions have come in. Some questions have come in. The T.N.F hashtag is working. If you can't find the hashtag key, which I saw a couple of people saying, just put in capitals T.N.F at the start of it, just something that makes it stand out to me, because so many comments come in, so it makes it a bit easier for me. So we'll start with regular viewer Pam. She comes in and says, T.N.F, how much of a turnaround is Sunday's victory over the booing Bears in the mentality and the performance of the team? Judge.
I'm glad you asked that question, Pam. It's always good to see you in the comments, pal. I think what Pam's hit there is a nail on the head. I think, ironically, the fans being in the stadium when the away support went against Rangers, you know what I mean? See, when you've got the team getting booed off at half time, and then a manager getting booed, and it was a very loud boo when you're making subs, Phil, the writing's on the wall for you. I don't think. Yes. I think the only way he turns it round is a long sustained period of success with victories wins the League Cup, wins a few games in Europe. I also read in the last 2 days, a coach in Japan and 2 in England have been linked with the job. That tells me that at least there's been discussions, or at least an action plan's been put in place by Rangers that they're sounding people out. That tells me that up the stairs they're just saying this has 1 or 2 more bad results and he's out the door. You very rarely get back for that, mate, because I think the Rangers fans, although they were telling you 2 weeks ago that it was only his first and second game ever as Rangers manager, but that turned very quickly on Sunday there. I think, Pam, and you've got the 5-1 game midweek against PSV. I think they would have just forgiven that had they got the result on Sunday, because I said before the match, I think I put it on my Twitter, somebody at full time is going to be a tactical genius and somebody's going to be one step out the door. And I feel like these matches, and it's harsh to say that, these matches, that's what happens, you know what I mean? That's why I paid big bucks. But there was more to it for Bill. He'd more riding on that match, because a result like that in Europe for a club who, for whatever reason, think they deserve to be at the top table isn't acceptable. And then for Celtic to turn up there without fans, and even though we've seen the idiocy of folk claiming that the rule, no claiming that they don't agree with the rule, which means it is a foul. They're disagreeing with the fact that the foul should have been given. It's a foul, so the goal should have. So we've saw very little of that. See, the first day or so, the first 40 hours at the press were all of that. And they're just not only buying it for, and en masse, they're angry that that goal not been given. But they're not buying the charade, mate. They know there's more things at play here. And I don't know about you, Phil, but I don't think I'd be a happy person if I turned up to Celtic Park with no away support and watched that performance of my team. But a lot of it's got to do with Celtic, and some of the tactics that we have spoke about go against us in matches when they try to score goals. Like Maeda not being effective. That went in their way because he was just stifling their defence. I mean, Tavernier couldn't get forward. I never knew that guy was in the park until the 70th minute or so when he changed it about, and then he started to go forward a bit. And then obviously Bernabeu was on as well, and then it was like, But I think the turnaround and the feeling amongst the Celtic fans is the biggest factor. And what's going to make it even more magnified is we've got a two week break here for Celtic. So let's just stew on it a bit better. Let's us like get our bearings. Let us stop panicking about the bad transfer window and just say, look, all right, we've started poorly. We're out of cup, but we're 4 points clear. When we've got a Champions League draw that we will say is favourable. No expecting too much out of it, but there's a lot worse places to be than sitting as a Celtic supporter right now.
I know that's been now something that you're talking about there about the foul, the infamous foul incident. There's one that isn't getting much praise, not really praise, but one that's not getting any focus that kind of went under the radar at the weekend. And when I've seen the replays, I'm like, that's crazy. It never came up. And a couple of people have asked about it and amongst the old judge questions. So John Kerr, John Kerr has asked T.N.F, do you think Kyogo getting ragdolled by Butland and Goldson was a penalty? Now, at the time, I didn't really notice it, but I've seen the replays and that one's not getting spoken about at all. And have you actually seen it, Mark, at all? And aye, and it's like that isn't no VAR review, nothing at all, and it's like, well, we could easily had that. I mean, I always hate that whole coming away for games and going, oh, we should have penalty. But it's a game that we won, so we did actually win it. So it's not like it's been sour grapes. But when you see it, it's like that's 2 players have shoved him to the ground in a sequence of play, and it's like that's a penalty.
Well, one thing's for sure, it's an off the ball incident, it's a foul. Whether that would result in a yellow card or some action on the players, I don't know if that would result in a penalty kick foul. That's the thing it's a bit blurry for me because I don't know where the ball is at the time. Because the camera angle I've seen only sticks to Kyogo. It's like somebody.
It's still in play, I can tell you. Some Rangers fans try to say the ball went out of play, so does it matter? No, it didn't. It was just after Kyogo's one that was cleared off the line.
In the box?
It was just outside the area. I think it had fell to Abada on just outside the way, but the ball was still in play. It was still on the field. It hadn't gone out over the touchline.
So I think that'd be an off the ball incident. It could result in a card, but it couldn't result in a penalty kick. For talking sake, if just say for instance you happen to elbow a player in the box while the play was outside the box, you would still get action against you, but it wouldn't be a penalty kick because the foul didn't take place. You know what I mean there. I'm pretty sure that'd be the case. I'm not entirely sure. Honestly, I'm not a referee. I'm not Bobby Madden. But you know what? I think the biggest thing that's come out of this weekend in terms of the focus on the referees is we've even got referees who are no longer at the game, more in tune with the actual rules of the game than the managers and the players, because nobody at any point has said, like, you had Neil McCann who brought the notebook to on TV one day.
Yep.
If you can turn around and tell me that you don't agree with that rule, that's fine. We can talk about that rule all day, right? But see if the rule was there and you broke it, then you broke the rule, Phil. You know what I mean? It's two separate issues. Whether you agree it's a foul or no. Personally, I don't think that's a foul. But if the law says that's a foul, then it's a foul. Asking me, should it be a foul? No. But is it a foul? Well, it is. You know what I mean? It's silly, but nobody seems to come for that point of view. It's all about spins and selling stories, or it's on the green side of things or the blue side of things. And the fact of the matter is, the only question you need to ask yourself is, did the referee make the right decision on the park? No, he didn't. But he walked out the monitor, and he'll probably get away with that, given that goal, because we saw this happen before with Rangers. But the guy did what he should have done and says, no, that's a foul. Because see if they get given the goal, there'll probably been John Hartson on Monday night, or Chris Sutton mentioned it on his show, just mentioned that we've saw this is I've spoken to a referee, this is a foul. But you wouldn't have seen Celtic coming into the press or anything like that. You know what I mean? There was no outcry when we lost last week when Kilmarnock didn't get a penalty against them at Rugby Park. Against us, that would seem to be like a by-the-by moment. Like, oh, these things happen, but I think the focus was more on the actual the subjective side of the rule rather than the rule itself. And I think for me, it's a wee bit of a watershed moment, because now I'm going to be, when I see things now, I'm going to be looking at it in terms of where I think it's a foul or not is going to be irrelevant. I'm going to look at what the actual rule was. Because that looks like now that's the way it's going to be judged. It's like the handball foul, remember that? If I touched a fingernail, it was a penalty kick. Me and you were talking about it, me, you, and Russell. Whether me and you thought it was a foul or no was irrelevant. That we're having the probably the wrong conversation. We should be talking about how bad the rule is rather than the subjectiveness of the rule. You know what I mean?
Aye, no, it's just I mean, I know down in England they began showing is that Howard Webb, the former referee, now hosts a show on Sky where they actually play back the VAR instance and let you hear the audio. I saw a clip of that the day. It was one from the Arsenal Man United game the weekend. Just thought, well, we'll never get that up here. You'll never get that sort of, transparency of how it all works. Because, I mean, I was as surprised as anybody as well on when he went to that screen and he reversed it. I was like, I can't believe it. We actually got some sort of decision through VAR.
Well, I'll give the guy who was sitting to my right, he's true. The older guy, he said to me, he said, that's a foul. He's like, and I went, no chance. He went, it's a foul. It's not going to be given. I'm just sitting there, like a bottle and a half of beer in between the 30 seconds, and he's like, it's got to be a foul. I never knew the rule. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And they come back, I was delighted. You know what I mean? And,
aye.
And do you know what? And two goals chopped off, rightly so. And the fact of the matter is, doing that at Ibrox, and the biggest outcry is about the manager. It just shows you Pam's point was correct. As the narrative's totally spun this city. Celtic fans were really unhappy with a lot of things, and the transfer window went for, even I mentioned it 5 minutes ago, it's went for being really bad, which I still think it is. But to be quite honest with you, when the mist is cleared, we don't know how bad or good it is. It could be worse than what we think, but we've not saw anybody fall. They could have two players in that six that could be starting 11 players, and that was my biggest outcry. It wasn't money spent. That wasn't my issue. It was what players are going to come in and prove that starting 11. No sub goalies or sub strikers, and we might have that. We just don't know it yet. And that's what the narrative has turned a wee bit. And one thing we've got the new, which we didn't have in Sunday morning, is we've got a real optimism that things are beginning to gather a bit of pace at Celtic Park, and we are looking a bit better under this genius manager that I think we've got.
Yes, more injuries, the injured players come back, then that's obviously going to help us. Now, speaking of the transfer window, obviously one position that all of us talked about that we needed to improve, and we never made any movement in, it was obviously left back. And on Tuesday night, I did throw a name in there, and there's a couple of questions came in regarding that position. So 2 questions of a similar ilk. Monty has asked, does Scales have a Celtic future? Because I suggested on Tuesday night, could he maybe slot in at left back? Because right now, Brendan's got to pick between Taylor, Bernabei, or Scales. But also CJ, on a similar note, has said that a highly rated left back, left midfield and use Mitchell Frame signed a new contract yesterday. I saw that one, and I've heard a few of the reports about him. People saying, could he be the next Kieran Tierney? Is it time to throw him in since Taylor is struggling and Bernabei is shite? So didn't mince his words on that one. But yeah, the whole left back thing, to say, Scales did nothing wrong at the weekend there. Could he maybe be the sleeper that we're looking for at left back? We get him in there, or as I say, could this boy Mitchell Frame, a youth that hasn't left, Mark, a youth that's actually signed a deal? Usually we're that used to them getting to the point where their contract's running down and they just go. But this is an oddity. Mitchell Frame is actually stuck around. I've read a few of the reports. He is quite highly sought after. But yeah, the left back definitely seems a concern right now with the options overall.
Well, when Fabrizio Romano takes the time to mention Celtic signing a youth player on an extended contract, it tells you that there must be a lot of whispers about how good this boy is. So it's good for Celtic. We've got at least some sort of future coming through that Lennoxtown. And I think a lot's made this Lennoxtown about how little players have come through. But see, when you add the ones that we've lost over the years, like Tierney and Callum McGregor, with Ralston play games for the first team. We've had Ben Doak go to Liverpool play well. There's been more than a handful of players that have come through the youth system. You don't get that at a lot of clubs. There should be more, but there's no. On Monty's point, I think. Well, I'll tell you something. See if one are unfit, centre backs come back fit tomorrow, I'd play Scales next to him rather than Lager Bielka. I don't think the guy's going to be good for Celtic. Don't think for a minute I'm saying that, but I've saw more Scales at centre back than Lager Bielka. I think when we read his report, it was supposed to be a very good passer of the ball. It looks to me like he's never passed a ball before. He looks really nervous on the ball. His defending is 5 out of 10. Let's be honest. He looked really nervous at Ibrox, and do you know what? In a team that looked very composed, he looked very, very nervous, and I would have Scales in the first 11 before him. And that, so I think if Rocky or Carter Vickers and they could be back for a while, or at least we get one of them back, I think I would rather have Scales play alongside him, because we can handle Greg Taylor for a while longer. But I'll tell you one thing, Scales played a full season nearly at left centre back and left back at Aberdeen there.
Yeah.
And he wasn't getting mentioned as a dodo. They wanted to sign him on, so he can at least play that level in Scotland. Whether they can play, it's one thing playing in Scotland for another team, but to play in a Celtic team is 2 different ends of the spectrum. And I don't think much has changed on the manager's outlook on Scales. I think when all's told, he'll go back to his probably natural position within the squad. I'm actually glad. I remember there's a show on the first or second week of pre-season, and I said on the show that I saw enough in Liam Scales to suggest I would keep him in the squad at least. No, in the first 11, God, I know I turned white when I seen that team, him in it the other day there, but he proved me wrong, as I says, but there's definitely a place for him. There's a lot worse players played a lot of minutes for Celtic than that boy. And should he come in and give him a chance at left back if we get 2 centre backs back? Why no? Because it's looking very likely that Greg Taylor, I don't know what it is, Phil. He's a player that I've praised a lot, and you have as well, but he's got worse and worse, and I thought he would get better, but now, I thought sometimes it only takes, see if he played a worldie on Sunday there, it only takes that for a player to get his form back, and maybe he's just waiting for that match. He's waiting for a Greg Taylor in the last 2 seasons to come back, or maybe it's the style of play doesn't suit him. For a while, I don't know, but one thing's for sure, I think we would all want to see a new left back in the door, and I don't think we've got a new left back in the building. I really don't. Bernabei, and they probably even talking about that guy. I mean, the sooner we just squash that bug, the better. Same as with multiple players that we just seem to find hard to actually settle on. I mean, there's players who there's folk that still think Gucci was hard done to, and they could have. When you're there for a year and a half, 2 years, and you're still showing nothing, I'm sorry. The half an hour they get every couple of weeks isn't that guy's full time at the club. I'm not showing it in training, or their attitude's no good. There's more to the bigger picture, and he's certainly only getting minutes when it's emergency and it's press the big red button time. So, but Monty, I wouldn't be against him getting game time at left back, because unless Greg Taylor has that game, it just ups his confidence again, which could happen at any moment. Phil, I don't see him coming back away, mate. I really don't.
He showed it obviously under Ange the last 2 years, but again, it was a different sort of system. This inverted fullback thing, it seems to make a world of difference to Greg Taylor. But we've said this, we did the Judgement Day episode a couple of weeks ago. One of the questions was, isn't it Brendan's job to sort of find systems to work with the players he's got? And it's like, well, if this guy is showing that he is good at this role, why are you trying to force him into? And I think maybe Brendan in his head believes that I'm going to get the best out of him. I'm going to keep doing it, and he will get it. Eventually, he will become good at
his job into Phil. I think I don't think a manager should change his philosophy or outlook based on one player's inability to do that job. I think it's up to the player to reach the standards, or it's up to the manager to replace him eventually. And you might find if there's no meeting in the middle, that his time at Celtic will be cut short. If he left tomorrow, I'd still say it was a good signing, Phil. And I think he'd be an excellent backup player. Maybe he needs competition. Yeah. Maybe that's been part of his problem, Phil. I think when you find players who get very little competition, some players, they lose that initial kind of desire to prove themselves. And when you've got players like Greg Taylor, who was excelling under Ange and have went backwards at an alarming rate, it rarely goes back the way unless something happens, you know what I mean? And hopefully, come December or January rather, he's either proved himself to be number one, or we've saw enough that it's without doubt that Brendan Rodgers is going to replace him.
I'll say when the January window rolls in, I'm sure a lot of the same headlines that we were talking about in that summer there will all come back around, and especially after the whole Champions League campaign's happened, we'll be able to assess how we did there. And I'm sure when January comes around, left back will be probably a position that we'll be shopping for. Now, we've got another position in the park. Now, I know the answer to this one already from Plunge McNugget, but there's two questions here that focus on a similar position. So Plunge has asked, Judge, do you think it's time to drop Tumble and play home from now on? So I think I know the answer to that one. And in a similar vein, Stephen Fleming has brought up a name that everyone's wondering what's going on with him, because he is obviously set midfielder. It's obviously Hatate's injured right now, so Hatate is obviously going to be the guy. He's the first choice. But at the moment, while Hatate's injured, Tumble seems to be getting a game and he ain't really dealing himself. And yeah, home has shown a bit of promise in a couple of forms he's had, but yeah, Watter's just a mystery man at the moment. Where is he? You know, why can he not get couldn't even get on the bench on Sunday there? But Kwon did, the Korean midfielder that we bought, that nobody seems too enamoured with thus far. So a real mystery, Mark.
Well, Plunge, I think I'd rather see Eddie Tumble than David Tumble. I think he's one of the players that will split the support. You get the folk that say there's something there, and then you get the folk that say there's absolutely nothing there, and I'm in between that. I think Celtic will look at him and say 3-4 years, he's been a decent signing, but he's no Celtic quality. I think his stats paint a different picture for the reality of him playing. When he plays in a Celtic team, there's an instant drop-off in intensity and quality and link-up play. There seems to be shots coming from every angles. It just seems to be a bit more erratic, and that's him in a well-oiled, functioning Celtic team. That still happens. If he's your link-up man, if you're relying on that guy to create something for you, it's going to be a long, long day. Awata, Ange bought him, and there's a lot of fanfare about him, and Ange didn't play him. Rodgers has come in, and Rodgers hasn't played him. I think I've said this before about Bernabeu. Sometimes you buy a player, he ticks all the boxes, he looks class in his videos, he looks crap, and then he comes in and you go like that, oh fuck. He isn't what I expected. And you give him time, and you go, right, now, we can sit here and say it's only match day 5 or whatever. Phil, he's been at the club for 8 months, and still can't get a game.
Yep.
That isn't a short time in football. You know what I mean? It isn't a short time in football, because in amongst that you've had dead rubber league games, which didn't impress him when he was there. We've had cup games, we've had pre-season games, and we've had games at the start of the season, and he's not impressed in any of them in any position. He really hasn't. Home, I think, is a bit iffy. I know. I think home will get a game for Celtic in the future, but I'd rather give that guy time to settle, because he's only had a couple of games. He's looked good some points and bad the next. The thing with Kwon is, and I think we said this, if he kept his mouth shut, even under the radar, the reason why he's above the radar just now is because he told the Celtic fans before he started, I'm better than every player you've seen. I'm going to come in. Don't get used to me, because the minute I prove he's on the best player in the league, I'm going to be out of here and I'm going to Germany or England. He told us he was too good. A guy in the second division of Japanese football said he was too good for Celtic before he actually trained for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if he just kept his mouth shut, the folk on podcasts and folk on the stands saying, do you know what? Oh, he's not played yet. Maybe he'll come good. He's a project. Let's leave it at that. But when you play the way he played in a couple of things, there was one, I think it was Betis, or was it Celtic Park?
The James Forrest testimonial, where he did some sort of weird flick on the edge of the area.
I must have seen 1,000 players at Celtic. Right, I have rarely seen a football player in a Celtic strip. I'd probably say David Fernandez that day gets subbed on and subbed back off again at Bhoycie. He's probably the only player that I could say could match him for being how bad he was. And do you know something? I think again you bring on that spotlight on yourself, Phil. See when you tell that you're the best thing. I watched a program on Discovery quite a lot. It's called The Deadliest Catch. It's a program about these Canadian fishermen, and they go out and catch crabs. It's really interesting. But they always talk about these guys, and they'll sit in the bars and they'll say, I'm the best fisherman for 13 years and 14 years. And within 3 days, they're phoning helicopters to get them off the ship because they're greeting and everything. That's what reminds me of the guy's big to sell up. He's been saying he's been the best thing since sliced bread, and as Russell put it perfectly, he's a Kwon artist. You know what I mean? He's a good one, and I think if he kept his mouth shut, but you know something, I don't sympathise with the guy one bit, because when you told the Celtic fans you were too good for the club and too good for the players, then I don't think you deserve any hour, because it wasn't just a miscommunication. Phil, he knew what he was saying. He mentioned destinations that he wanted to go to. He mentioned
that's very specific.
It was very specific. It didn't get asked, do you see a stepping stone? He's went, I'm ambitious. I want to move on. And he's went, no, I'm going to prove I'm the best player in the club. I'm better than Scottish football. I'm out of there. I'm going to the Bundesliga or Italy or Spain, whatever he said. And he went, no danger. He said that. And so what? Tough titty bang bangs. It comes back to biting the ass sometimes.
By the way, Mark, you've got a couple of people crediting you on that analogy there. Mikey Cole saying Deadliest Catch was a good watch. Pam coming in saying, Mark, that was a perfect Deadliest Catch analogy. And thanks, Scotty Boy also saying it. Great analogy, Mark. There you go. I thought I watched it.
It's a great show, Phil.
I'll need to look at that. Discovery Channel,
like,
yeah.
It's a bit like, remember Trawlermen in Scotland? So it's kind of like, just quickly, it's kind of like they've got access to like 4 or 5 fishing trawlers in the Canadian season. It's the waters, and the water's that cold that it turns to ice as soon as it hits the boat. That's how cold it is, and these guys are fishing for crab. And if one dies, 500 die within hours, and they need to get back. So in short, it's just amazing. And see the things that go into all it, bare knuckle fighting and all that. It's a tough kick. If you think you can do anything, you wouldn't last a minute. And fishermen, that must be the toughest. And you get the guys in the pubs, and they show them they're going to be the best fishermen. I mean, they're better than Ahab and all the rest of it. And they turn out to be diddies. And I think that's what's happened to Kwon, mate.
There you go. Kwon couldn't get the Deadliest Catch. You couldn't do that. Now, I've got a couple of questions about Champions League, Mark. We know how much you love European football. You've made it very clear on here that you know how you feel about it. But a couple of questions have come in regarding it. The Celtic Girl has asked, realistically speaking, how do you think the Champions League group will go? And NM has asked, what's to stop us getting pumped in the Champions League in the same way we did on many occasions when Brendan was here the last time? I mentioned this briefly on Tuesday when we talked about it. We're just saying, like, since he's been away, obviously down at Leicester, he did have a run to the semi-finals of the Europa Conference League, and obviously the Conference League is a serious difference to the Champions League, and Leicester obviously are a pretty decent team that he had at his disposal, so you'd expect them to go far, but you'd like to think still that the general sort of like rules apply in terms of like setting a team up and navigating these ties, because European football, some of the craziest stuff can happen. So you'd like to think along the way he has picked up a few tricks of the trade of like how to navigate some of these stuff, because we haven't won a knockout game and it'll be 20 years in 2024. So if we do find ourselves in some kind of knockout football after Christmas time, we need to get a few of those wins on the board, just to get that monkey off the back. But first of all, we have to obviously navigate the Champions League group. So yeah, there's a couple of questions here about that, Mark. So how do you feel at the moment it's going to go?
As I said, I think the same problems that were there last Friday are still here today, Phil. You know what I mean? We've still got the same group of players, but if a player can evolve, so can a manager. But we get scalped after. I mean, we Bayern Munich beats 3-0 away, and we just get beat off Bayern Munich. We should have beat Bayern Munich.
We were good that night.
We should have won. We should have beat Man City home and away, unless I'm tripping, because we should have won both 3 games, Phil, right? We really should have. But the teams that pumped us, right? Messi, Suarez, Neymar, Cavani, Mbappe. I mean, right through the teams, Phil, right?
I know.
We didn't get pumped after Gladbach. We didn't get pumped 5-1 off PSG here. These were serious operators. You know what I mean, that I still say, like, that PSG team on paper was worth about £500 million, the strike force alone. So it was.
Aye.
Then Cavani, Neymar,
Cavani scored an unbelievable header that night. He tried on the byline. We did, Sid Ralston. Yep, that's right.
And do you know something? So, see, when you're talking about it, nobody mentions the fact that we come up against that level of opposition. You know what I mean? And you can't have it both ways. You can't sit here and say I want to dine at the top table, but I don't like the way it tastes. You can't have both ways, Phil. You know what I mean? When you're playing amongst these big players, you're going to have to put up with the fact that they are the Celtic within the Scottish Cup first round, where they can beat anybody with 6 or 7. You've seen EPL teams and you've seen German teams get beat 5, 6 and 7 goals in this competition. That's how ruthless it is. But Brendan Rodgers, he's a bit of a quagmire, because see at Celtic, mate, you've almost got an obligation to entertain the fans, and that Celtic badge weighs heavy on people, you know what I mean? And you can't turn up with 10 men behind the ball. The Celtic fans won't accept it, the Scottish press won't accept it, because if you get beat, it's got to be levelled against you, that you're nothing other than sitting back. And he took his game plan the same way Ange did in the World Cup, the same way Ange did at Bodo Glimt, and the same way Ange did when but that doesn't get levelled against him, really. It's only certain people that bring it up, folk like us, they'll maybe whisper it in dark corners, but the fact of the matter is, Brendan Rodgers is probably only second and third campaigns in Europe as a football manager. So if players can evolve and become better, so can managers. And I don't think he has to evolve and become better. He just had to get lucky, Phil, because he still took us to the qualifying. He still took us to the knockout stage. He got us through 2 qualifying campaigns.
The qualifying, I know how hard that is to navigate.
Owen O'Connell, I think his name is. Sviatchenko.
That's right, Owen O'Connell was playing.
Johansson, who couldn't wait to go to the club. Nadia Chifchi coming on. And don't forget, Scott Brown, who was finished, Cameron McGregor, who was a dumpling, Forrest, who was a dumpling. He turned all these guys into players that could operate at Champions League level. You know what I mean? Don't forget, Scott Brown, I think Angie Rodgers' first season, Scott Brown's passing and tackling and interception stats are at the very top of anybody in the full competition. Yep. So at the heart of that team, he evolved players to compete at the very highest level. But for I still say we could have beat Man City home and away. I think we deserved a point at Bayern Munich, at Celtic Park against Bayern Munich. Maybe even a win if we got lucky that night, Phil. You know what I mean? So
do keep in mind, Mark, we did beat Anderlecht away from home in that campaign. 3-0, 3-0. A real doing we gave them. Right?
And do you know what? That was a very Brendan Rodgers type performance where when they free-flowing football, we just done them over. We're just better than them. And I don't think it's fair that his record in Europe is flung up if you're going to measure Celtic managers' European success as a barometer, then I think Jock Stein, and only to a certain extent Martin Neal, can match up to anybody in their history, because Celtic don't habitually win trophies or get to the latter stages. Phil, it's happened maybe a handful of times in their history, right? And our success level is winning leagues, making dents in Europe when we can, and evolving players, you know what I mean, and getting the fans happy, because there's nothing better than standing at Hampden on a sunny day, or go to George Square, or watching it in your pub with your pals, and Celtic are lifting trophies. And nobody this century will do that, has done that in a more consistent manner than that man, you know what I mean? And if the only thing you hold against him is European football, then you can bring a lot of managers in that same category. And then look at Neil Lennon. His record in Europe was brilliant. That guy got us through qualifying campaigns. He got us to the last 16. He was beating Barcelona's. He beat Spartak Moscow, who just spent a fortune. And people ridicule that guy because he's domestic record in the end up. So you can't have it both ways. You can't slag Lennon for his domestic, but acknowledge he's European, but then slag Rodgers for his European and discount his domestic. I think there's a bit of middle ground here, and the fact that Brendan Rodgers has won so many trophies at Celtic. I mean, Phil, let's just put something in perspective here. I seen this, it might have been on the four times. That guy's won 82% of Glasgow Derby matches he's played in. 82%. If you're watching 10 times, you win 8 of them. And nobody, Jock Stein, nobody comes close to that. And by God, I wasn't mourning about the European games when I was at Ibrox and we won 5-1. I wasn't mourning about the European performance we won 4-0 at Hampden. Do you know that way? And I just think it's time that we draw a line under that and treat the European games for what they were for, because this wasn't a PSV beating us. This was a PSG.
Yeah.
This Man City team, we were the first team to take a point off of them. They won 11 games that season and won every match.
That's right. Yeah, we were.
Nobody touched that team. And Celtic, I think, in my opinion, and I've watched it back, we should have won both matches, mate. And that was where a team that the previous season were absolute dumplings and looked finished by the most part with a couple of additions. And that's his European record, if you ask me.
That is, mate. And thank you to the new member, Matt McIver and Tattoo Face, for renewing his membership for 14 months. So he's been hanging in there. Glad to have you on board, Tattoo Face. Always happy to
always gives money's worth.
Chat. But yeah, I've got a couple more questions coming about European football. It seems to have opened up the debate now. So a few more that have came in from Tony Steele, who says, would third place in the Champions League be considered success? Yes, I think it would be, because it would get us into European football after Christmas. It would get us a Europa League spot, which I think many people feel that we've got a better chance of doing well there.
That's the aim, fella. That's going to be the aim. I think realistically, Celtic, if you're still watching European football next season, next year as a Celtic fan after December, I think Celtic have done well, because that group I think is very favourable. But bearing in mind the squad of players we've got, I think it's quite possible we might be in for another long European, well, not long, but a short European campaign. But do you know what? If we don't finish third this season, it doesn't mean we've not learned lessons for next season.
Yeah,
I'm not saying right it off if that's your thing. I'm not saying that at all. But if you get third, then for me it's a success, mate.
Yeah, because next season obviously we've got the new format where there is no drop downs anymore. So if we win the league, we're in the Champions League, and it's like if you don't make it through to the knockout stages, you don't drop down to the Europa anymore. So then after that, the only way to get into the Europa League is either we have to lose the league title, which ain't an option, or the coefficient changes, which is very likely to happen at some point over the next few years, where Scottish teams will need to play qualifiers, and that means we would have to lose said qualifiers to drop into the Europa League. And it's like, you don't really want to be going in and losing these games. No, you want to be winning and be at the best competition. But yeah, if we had any chance of winning the Europa League, then the door is getting smaller. It's closing over very, very quickly there. Let's see, I've got another question here, again regarding more Europe stuff from Ed O'Donnell, saying, do you think when Brendan Rodgers declared his desire for improvements in Europe, it was a long-term plan to build a competitive team over 2 to 3 seasons, opposed to spending big for this season? Because again, going back to the old transfer window stuff, now people are saying we want marquee players now, we want this spent now, and so on and so on. I mean, long-term planning and the Celtic board, does it even go hand in hand, Mark? Does it? And as I just said a moment there, over the next few seasons, obviously we're about to see a change in the European format, so the chance of success in Europe is going to get harder if we're going to be in the Champions League, which is going to be, 36 teams now, 8 games, and yeah, you're going to have to play some big name teams there. So is it a long-term plan, do you think? Maybe it's been misconstrued when Brendan's threw that out there. People have just ran with it and thought he meant right now, instant success. This season, get your tickets booked for Dublin. We're going to the Europa League final. Is that what people have just thought? And it's like, no, he's actually talking about a 2-3 season build here.
Well, I think Ed's got a point. Maybe he was talking about a succession plan for the club even after he goes, just to build the club up. Because I think any Celtic fan just now is probably even at a stage where they're thinking that Celtic are only a serious figure in European football, and we have to get ourselves back up to the position, and we are watching Celtic in Europe again, thinking, do you know what, we can do it. I mean, we beat Lazio home and away under Neil Lennon. We got the knockout stage with him as well, and I think we should have won that tie. I think we should have won away from home in Copenhagen.
We were brilliant the first half and then just fell apart.
It did, and another day we get through that tie, and I think a couple of players let him down that night. And you know, I think if the window had went better for Celtic, before I spoke this summer, and we've seen a couple of players who you think, okay, they've played in the EPL, they've played at a higher level before, then they can kick on a wee bit in Europe, or at least tease that wee kind of foundation where they can look to get a point away from home, scrape that one at Celtic Park, you know what I mean? And that's what Celtic are only missing. That's the thing about Celtic in Europe, when we do get gubbed fairly often, but there's sometimes where we're just missing that wee killer touch that goes, that turns a 2-0 loss maybe into a 1-0 win, Phil, and getting that chance you had in the first 10 minutes we missed it on, and then it goes against you after that. And that comes with sometimes just buying that extra level of player. And who knows, Rodgers probably wanted to bog himself a wee bit. I think he is here for longer terms if he gets everything he wants, you know what I mean, in terms of a longer period of time. So that didn't happen overnight, mate. That needs to be built up. And if next season it gets this group, there will be a lot of people in Celtic Park, including the fans, who will be expecting third place. Yeah. No seeing that as a very, very happy medium rather than the second place. Because the group itself isn't great, Phil, you know what I mean? I think if you could pick a pot one team, you would pick Feyenoord, wouldn't you?
Feyenoord was the one. Feyenoord, or was it Porto with the Portuguese champions? Benfica, I think it was Benfica with the Portuguese champions.
I would still pick Feyenoord. I see Feyenoord, they've got a smaller budget than Celtic. So on paper, Celtic should be beating them, you know what I mean? Yeah. But the pot one, I think, God. So I think even this season, I think, to me anyway, you give him a bit of a buy, but some it's his own fault by no demanding the better players.
Yep.
But it could be longer term, I think.
Aye. Now here's a wee fun question to throw in there. We have a bit of a laugh with this one. I'm sure you've seen the clip this week, Mark, doing the rounds of some angry bears phoning into certain stuff, and Monty's asking, is Barry Ferguson a cheerleader? That's a topical question right now. We've had a bit of fun that one. I think you saw Angry Derek was on the Go radio show screaming at Barry Ferguson, calling him a cheerleader. No. Barry, was he having that, was he?
No, I think the difference between Celtic players and Rangers players, when they leave the club, Celtic players give their opinion, whether it's bullshit or no. Rangers players give the opinion of what they feel the bigger majority of the fans want to hear. I think Barry Ferguson falls into that category. See, before Sunday, there were a lot of Rangers fans still shouting from the rooftops that, give this guy time. They were all expecting to win on Sunday there, and then have egg on their face if they didn't win, and then go like, oh, he was bummed up to be this tactical genius. He was just saying what a lot of fans expected him to say, and then they get called out on it, and his narrative his opinion will change with the wind. If Rangers fans are against somebody he's against him. Same with Derek Johnson, who was called a cheerleader by Chris Sutton. And it was because he was backing the board at all turns. Every coach, every manager was getting backed, because that's what Rangers do. They don't. They just. That's how they keep themselves relevant in that bubble. If you go against the Rangers fans as an ex-player, you don't get invited to players' functions. You don't get asked to come on and be part of the mainstream media, because the Rangers fans won't take to you. I mean, Gordon Dale's probably the only one out there that does get a job who talks, impartially. And I mean, he does seem to have like a level-headed brain. The rest of them are just like Chris Boyd. You could break somebody's leg and he still say it was a dive. You know what I mean? And I think, to be honest with you, it was funny seeing that video. It was I was still drunk. I seen that video in Bifex. It's like, don't you call me that? And I'll call you what I want. No. And you know what? The biggest one for me was the guy going like, you, shite, fuck off.
Yes.
I must admit, I've been there myself. And I think like, you're shite, you're fucking shit, you fuck off. Hey, that's just Christmas dinner at my house. That's not even Celtic games. But what a video it was, and I think I seen a picture of the day of the tifo they had, and they're making t-shirts. I want to see a t-shirt for a Celtic one with that guy going like that, you fuck off, because that was I'd buy that in a second, because that's a good one for Sunday there. That's one of the ones that sticks in your mind.
When they recapped on the Scottish News the next night, and they blurred out his mouth because any lip reader out there could have seen that, would have figured out very quickly what he was saying. He was a very, very angry bear, at least. And that guy Derek that phoned into that one and called Barry Ferguson, I'm amazed he didn't swear. I was like, how has he managed not to drop a good old F-bomb there at least? It was like, how did he manage that one? It was an incredible.
He was that angry that I was waiting for somebody to say like, you're fucking. I see the thing is, like, even Barry Ferguson, you got to give him his due, man. He came back 3 or 4 times and went like that. Don't call me this. Even after it calmed down, I thought, normally you don't get ex-players talking to fans like that. And I thought, good on you, man. Because there's nothing better than seeing two grizzly bears fighting each other. You know what I mean?
Bear on bear action.
Because Celtic beat them at Celtic Park at Ibrox. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's all good. Now, because I know you obviously want to talk about certain shots that were released last week. So one more question, similar to the last one we did, where the last question was like, what was your favourite out of this? So we'll do one of these questions, and then we'll go on to you wish to speak on certain shots. So from CJ, he asks, who was the best defensive midfielder? Bruni, Callum McGregor, or Neil Lennon? Not Lambert, because he was the best. He's decided that Lambert was the best out of them. But out of they three, Neil Lennon, Callum McGregor, Scott Brown, who's the judge giving the verdict to there?
It's not Callum McGregor anyway. I mean, I don't think he's a number 6 anyway, to be honest with you. But I thought Neil Lennon did a lot of the dirty work. See, under Neil Lennon, under Martin Neil, I thought Neil Lennon came in with this fanfare, and he was loved for obvious reasons, because they hated him. We just took him under our wings and made him that bit more an icon at Celtic. But I think Scott Brown, I mean, I mentioned it earlier on, mate. I mean, Scott Brown was performing at a very high level. So was Neil Lennon against some class act teams. But I think Scott Brown, for me, just my personal opinion. I mean, I remember Neil Lennon at Celtic very well. Unfortunately, I'm old enough to remember the day he signed, and I've seen a lot of his stuff at Celtic, and he was great. I mean, no doubt that boy was good at Celtic. You know what I mean? And he went to some right tough places. He played at Celtic. He went to some right tough grunge and stood up to every test. And he was, for me, he was always an 8 out of 10 at Ibrox. He loved Ibrox. I think he didn't have many bad games at Ibrox anyway, and you know what I mean? He just knew what it meant. And Scott Brown was the same. I thought Scott Brown, not only did he have the ability, but see, he managed to have like the kind of nasty streak that Neil Lennon's got, but he made it in a fun way, where you find it hard to be annoyed at him for maybe getting a yellow card that he didn't need to get, because he was sitting laughing at a Rangers player while he did it, and that wound him up. You know what I mean? You look at the video at Petoggi, where they're all flinging balls off him like it's a snowball fight, and he just goes up and laughs at them. Just goes up and just laughs at them, and as if to say, do you know what? You can try it all day. And we've seen that against opposition, like even championship teams and everything. He would laugh at guys that were trying to kick him and all the rest of it, as if to say, look, see the way you kick me, the way I'm going to love this. And that is a mentality. And a lot of players, when they get kicked, they don't like it. Phil, he get because he actually went, you're playing into my horns, and see whether he believed it or not. He made the other players think it was true, which is more crucial to my point, where he made other players that wee bit less confident what they were trying to do him, you know what I mean? And Neil Lennon was a fantastic football player. This is a guy who captained Leicester in the Premier League. This is a top level player that Celtic managed to get, and he was a top level captain as well. And all in all, he was probably a good Celtic manager, as much as it pains me to say it because of the way he left. But for me, I think Scott Brown just pips that man. I think Carl McGregor comes into the equation, to be quite honest with you. I think he might be a question for who was the best captain in tough times when he retires. He may come into that equation, but I don't think he comes into that equation for that man. Good question.
It was. So you said before the show you wished to speak about certain shots at least, because obviously in amongst the madness of the transfer window ending and that game at the weekend when we were building up to that, I know from going on Twitter, Mark, you were quite vocal as well about a certain shot that was released last Friday, and at a time when, but I mean, are we even surprised? That's 4 shots. That's 2 seasons in a row we've now released 4 shots. In fact, it might be. Did we release one in Andrew's first season, like a 4th shot as well? I can't even remember. Wouldn't surprise me if we did. There's that many getting churned out at the moment, but in the middle of the cost of living crisis, here's another one. And now, to be fair, this shot is a lot nicer looking than the actual home shot. It's a beauty of a shot. There's no doubt about it. But you also wanted to speak a few things on it. So the floor is yours, Judge.
Destination. So this one, actually, people are probably expecting me to have a rant about Celtic fleecing fans. Far from it today. Not at all. I'm going to talk about Adidas here, Phil. You know what I mean? Like, so. Yeah. So the last home kit that's the original one for this season, I bought that for Adidas shop because I was buying my daughter something. I was bought it for the one delivery, right? And I noticed straight away the badge placement was different for the one that I got for the Celtic shop, right? And so, for my mates have got it. I've seen the players wearing it. I've seen folk at the stadium wearing it, and the badge placing is just slightly different for the Adidas shop, for the Celtic shop. So I just put that down to something that might have happened. I thought maybe it's been a mistake, it's been a flaw in the system, and I left it at that. I didn't even mention it. I think me and Bhoycie had done a FaceTime or something with it. Me and Bhoycie spoke about it half air, so to speak. And then I looked the day, because Celtic have said they're going to release extra kits tomorrow in certain stores. I went, don't tell me they're sold out already. So I googled it because I was going to buy mine tomorrow or Saturday. Even though I said I wasn't going to buy it, I'm a fucking liar. And then so it popped up the Adidas store straight away on the Google search. And I clicked on it, and I'd been sent photographs, people with their strips on the day, and I went, oh, that's fucking lovely. And I went, hang on a minute. And I don't know if you still got the photographs, Phil, but you see the badge on the one for the Adidas shop is like halfway down on one of the green hoops, and the one for the Celtic shop is in the middle of the white part. It wasn't even close to being. And there's a photograph that Carl McGregor's got the strip on and on the Adidas website. But that's where like the photo shoot for the photo shoots itself. You know what I mean? See the actual strip itself, and when you click on to buy the strip, and you see it, it's got the position of the badge is just totally different, right? And I know, Pam, I know. Tablets of the answer is, and you know something? There's like now for that to be the second strip in a row. You see the black strip and the lime strip. The black strip you can't notice it because there's no reference point. The lime strip, or whatever colour it is, folk have mentioned that the stripes are different on some taps. Folk have said it's cut for a different cloth, that they're all unique. No. I've seen people with all the same bit and folk with all the different bits. So this could be this could be an Adidas thing where they either sell the higher quality strips to the clubs or the higher quality strips to their own official stores, or whether there's a design flaw on the ones that come for, I don't know, Phil, right? But it can be coincidence that strips bought for a Celtic store and a strip bought for the Adidas website are different. That it can be, if it's 2 or 3 or 4 strips in a row, then there must be a flaw, or at least a designed. It's no happened by accident, mate. You know what I mean? Like I know. See all the photographs you've seen today. They're all inch perfect on the white bit, because that's all because this is pre-sale. This is what people getting them for the Celtic shop. Adidas kind of sell it till midday tomorrow or something like that, right? So they're not sold any yet, right?
Yeah.
But trust me, see, once people start getting them through the doors, their badges are going to be different. I sent you some pictures into the group chat earlier on.
Aye.
I put some on Twitter and I put some lines on it to show exactly what I'm talking about. And this is a moss. I say there's no much. And see the quality of Adidas, mate. This tap's not bad. So done, but they're glued on taps. I mean, just pure shit quality.
I saw somebody on Twitter posting something the other day about they got the away kit, and after like 1 or 2 washes, the badge was coming off and stuff like that. And I was like, oh,
do you remember the story I told you? So before I went on holiday, I'm in Celtic shorts now. I buy all the Celtic shorts. I've got a thing for Celtic shorts. I think I've got anything Celtic, like always have. But I bought a pair of goalie shorts. So I went on holiday with it, and I come back and I put them in the washing machine for the first wash. And there's a bit of what the fuck's it saying in the back? It says something like aero ready, but there's 2 types of shorts. There's aero ready and something like techno ready. It's 2 different types. Like one's pro football, pro or elite level football teams quality, and one's no. And one wash full, that thing was hanging half, and I told you I ripped it off, and it was the cheaper make, and they stuck that sticker on top of the thingy for the Celtic shorts, for the goalie ones. I swear to God. And I seen a lassie on my Twitter. I don't know if I even follow her or not, but she bought Celtic shorts and the badge had come right off it. You know what I mean? And I thought to myself, dude, that happens. I remember the NTL badges were coming off the elbow strips. Remember that years ago? The big square patch.
Mine did that, yes.
Turning turquoise when you washed them and everything. So there is design flaws, but I'm talking about the actual quality of the strips itself. I'm talking about cheap material. This is Adidas. This is supposed to be an elite brand for elite clubs. I think the brand itself is cool. Football, I've got agenda against Adidas.
Adidas and Nike are like the 2 premier ones. If you're a football club, if you want one of them,
that's your Man U's, Real Madrid's. But I don't think their fans are getting sold the shit we are, mate. To be honest with you, I really don't. I mean, even the training kits we've got now. See, you look at Adidas's new season sales. It's last season's training stuff with Celtic badges on it. They got grey and black one. You see Brendan Rodgers win quite a lot. That's only £15 Adidas shop, but it's £40 in Celtic shop. Is that badge on it? Is it fucking thing? If you're smart, you just buy the badges online and put them on my iron. But
put it on yourself.
But I just think that with Celtic, when people pitch things to Celtic to sell in their Celtic store or shop, whether it's somebody writing a book or whether it's somebody making an item for Celtic to take on board, there'll be quality checks and there'll be all the rest of it. And I just feel like that's been totally missed out.
Well, that comment for John Kerr that I've got on the screen, when they sell out not enough shirts because they're chucking them out, so they're having to produce them to obviously meet the demand, the quality drops because you've got to churn them out quicker. It says so that could be what's happening there as well.
Well, do you know something, mate? See, if you signed up to Apple, you'd be expecting Apple grade quality to be sold. You wouldn't be expecting it to be like, you know, whatever, LG or whatever. So this is it. I just feel like I'm honestly, this isn't a rant. Even Pam's surprised. I think Pam really fell for chair there, but it's just that I just feel like I don't know. I feel like when you're going to charge for 4 strips, see Celtic are going to make money out of it. There's no point in moaning about it, right? Let's be honest. But I just feel like thanks to your face. I just feel like, you know, we're paying 70 quid a tap here, and it's like the shots are 40 quid now, Phil. You know what I mean? And I'm at daft that I buy the socks and all for the winter time for the Celtic games. I don't wear them all at one time. I know that bad.
I was about to say, go to the game with a full kit on. Well, yeah,
see, it's sort of put me up. So you go to the games at night time, Phil. It's so much better. Look at her. I should have slide tackle in the lane when she tried at dinner with my socks on. But I just think when you're charging elite money, Phil, when you're getting an elite brand and you've got dishing out quality like that, I think it's the club's responsibility to start chinning them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Me personally, I think when we go to tender the market for a new kit supplier, for me, I want to go back to Adidas, mate. I feel like the quality of the strips has been very substandard. I think the designs on them have been very dubious. I mean, that my home tap, I wore it once, put a tag back on it, and I'm not gonna wear that again probably, right? Apart from that, I feel like it's been strips that have been minging. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just don't know, but where where the Celtic fans fit in this process, because okay, we're mugs and we'll buy it, right? We will buy it, and I mean, there's folk buying like coats for their dogs and everything with Celtic badges on them. I see them cutting about, and I go, "You buy any shite." I mean, and do you know what? That's why you're a Celtic supporter, and that's why you support football, because you buy it because you're that engrossed with it. But I think it's up to the club to. I mean, surely God, somebody mentioned there that they must get a lot of handbags. The level of handbags into that club shop must be astronomical. For I remember, they were selling this stuff. I don't know if it was called dubs or something. It was something you're supposed to put on your trainers to make your trainers no get ruined with the rain. I bought a pair of trainers, right, and they were fucking dear. And I put it on my shoes, right, and I went, they turned kind of light blue after like one day wearing them. I took them back, right, mate, and I was standing in the queue, and the guy behind the desk, I'll tell you this, said to me, "Are you into Honda back?" I went, "Aye." He went, and he told me what it was. He went, "Aye." He just said, "Go and pick another pair up." The guy didn't even want to have a conversation with me. He knew this stuff was shit. This dubs or something was cut on was, and they're still selling it at the shops, by the way. I want to buy it, and I thought, you can just tell there must be feedback coming from like the actual shops to the retailers or whatever it is. And I just think if you take away the coolness of the Adidas brand, I think for we're being shafted, mate. I think the quality is fucking shit, mate. And it's not even that. Like, see if you're sitting and like see that home tat I mentioned, the design on it's that bad that it looks fake. And I would be mortified to wear one. I could be sitting in a row of people, and mine would look, when I buy it, if I bought it for Adidas shop, mine would look different to the rest of them. They're not going to think I bought that for the Barras. And you shouldn't be getting that quality like Adidas, mate. And that's I don't know if it's a design. I don't know whether Adidas are trying to do it so that you buy me. I don't know, mate. I really do not know the answer. Yeah. But there must be a reason why there's been a consistent inconsistency with strips, because that badge on a red Adidas, a red Man U strip, you're not going to notice that. But see the Celtic badge, see because we've got vertical stripes. See if that's 1 inch off centre, you're going to notice that. And this isn't a mistake, mate. It's just, if you ever was on my Twitter, I put the posters that picks up earlier on, and I put these lines and the rest to the best of my extremely low ability. Just have a look. Still buy it. I mean, still buy the club. And
you're probably right. The club need to obviously be questioning these things. I don't know when's the Adidas still up. I'd assume it's a 5-year deal. I would take a guess. So we're looking at still another season of it. That'll be 1, 2.
I guess
not 2 seasons. Not 2 seasons, but. Say Nike and Adidas are the 2 ones you want, but yeah, you've got to wonder if the other clubs that are Adidas branded are getting similar sort of stuff.
I don't forget Adidas have got a structure with our so see Adidas, so it's like, so you've got your money you're going to be getting, but see how Adidas dish out the funds. Yeah, so obviously it depends on how many shirts you sell and the rest of it, but see the contract itself is very much focused on sales after the contract's been signed. I'm sure something happened in Man U a few years ago. This makes it stick on my mind. There's like something different with Adidas for any other retailer. That's why you're getting every month you're getting new training kits, new shorts, new shit we're not going to wear. It's because they need to maximise how much shit they can dish out. You know what I mean? And money. Of course, it's money, mate, but I think these are different in some way, and maybe it's like. Sometimes when you make a lot of stuff in mass bulk, you make it as cheap as possible, and maybe that's part of the issue for it.
Seems to be the case. Well, Mark, you've done a marathon one tonight, an hour and 10 minutes of Judgement Day tonight, Judgement Day /T.N.F. First of all, thanks everyone that sent in questions. I think the hashtag T.N.F. at the start worked really, really well, because maybe something we need to implement in the future on T.N.F, because it does help for filtering comments when because you guys can't see it at this end, but there's a little star option next to all your comments, and if I hit a star on it, it puts it into a separate filter. So it makes it dead easy to then cycle through them. So yeah, maybe that's something I'll say to Russell if he watches this back and say, maybe we should do that for T.N.Fs in the future. Just tell people, put that at the start. It makes it stand out. And then we can bring up as many as we can. But no, we've got through quite a bit there, Mark. And
makes sense,
yeah.
mate.
Yeah, so tomorrow night, I think I said on Tuesday, tomorrow night there'll be no show on because don't hate me, Mark. Don't hate me for this. I'm going to watch the Scotland game, mate. I'm watching some international football. Scotland are playing tomorrow. Yes, it's a big game playing Cyprus, and if the results go their way, Scotland could actually be qualified for the Euros as of tomorrow. But if they win, they're on 15 points and with 3 games to go, and it's like surely they won't blow it from there. So they're looking very like they might actually qualify. So I'm going to be watching the Scotland game, and the only screen that I can watch it on in my house is this one that I'm sitting in front of just now, and it'll be on at the same time as we would usually be on. But as an international break, there isn't much more Celtic news to talk about right now. So yeah, we'll be taking the night off tomorrow for that Friday feeling. But at the weekend, I believe the Sunday Blether will be on as usual. So yeah, it's another T.N.F in the books, and yeah, we'll be heading off now. So enjoy whatever you do for the rest of this night, whatever you get up to, and yeah, obviously, if you're going to watch the Scotland game tomorrow, obviously enjoy that. Good luck to the national team as well, because I say they're actually playing pretty well. I'm a fair weather fan, Mark. Suddenly I want to watch Scotland, but I'm like, oh no, they're winning games too. I'm going to watch them. So yeah, it's tomorrow night, and yeah, we're out here. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for getting involved and getting the comments, and we'll see you on the next one. See you, folks.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.